स्वामी सेवक गुरुनाथ जय गुरुनाथ जय ओम गुरुनाथ जय गुरुनाथ ओम गुरुनाथ जय गुरुनाथ गुरुनाथ जय गुरुनाथ जय गुरुनाथ दीनबंधु दीननाथ दीनबंधु दिव्य स्वरूप सद्गुरुनाथ दिव्य स्वरूप सद्गुरुनाथ जय गुरुनाथ जय नाथ स्वामी नाथ शिव गुरुनाथ 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 स्वामी नाथ चिन्मय रूप सद्गुरुनाथ चिन्मय रूप सद्गुरुनाथ गुरुनाथ जय गुरुनाथ जय गुरुनाथ जय गुरुनाथ जय सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै शांति शांति शांति। Together we will chant Bhaj Govindam verses 10 to 20. Bhaj Govindam Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate Samprapte Sannihite Kale Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrun Karane वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः मा कुरु धन जन यौवन गर्वं हरति निमेषात् कालः सर्वम् मायामयमिदमखिलं बुद्ध्वा ब्रह्मपदं त्वं प्रविश विदित्वा दिनयामिन्यौ सायं प्रातः शिशिरवसन्तौ पुनरायातः कालः क्रीडति गच्छत्यायुः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशावायुः काते कान्ता धनगतचिन्ता वातुल किं तव नास्ति नियन्ता त्रिजगति सज्जन संगतिरेका भवति भवार्णवतरुणे नौका जटिलो मुण्डी लुञ्चितकेशः काषायाम्बर बहुकृतवेषः पश्यन्नपि च न पश्यति मूढो रुदरनिमित्तं बहुकृतवेषः अङ्गं गलितं फलितं मुण्डं दशनविहीनं जातं तुण्डम् वृद्धो याति गृहीत्वा दण्डं तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशापिण्डम् अग्रे वह्निः पृष्ठे भानुः रात्रौ चुबुकसमर्पितजानुः करतलभिक्षस्तरुतलवासः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशापाशः कुरुते गंगा सागरगमनं व्रतपरिपालनमथवा दानम् ज्ञानविहीनः सर्वमतेन मुक्तिं न भजति जन्मशतेन सुरमन्दिरतरुमूलनिवासः शय्याभूतलमजिनं वासः सर्वपरिग्रहभोगत्यागः कस्य सुखं न करोति विरागः योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा संगरतो वा संगविहीनः यस्य ब्रह्मणि रमते चेत्तं नन्दति नन्दति नन्दत्येव भगवद्गीता किञ्चिदधीता गङ्गाजललव कणिका पीता सुहृदपि येन मुरारिसमर्चा क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते सम्प्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति डुक्रुन्करणे We have been studying the chapter Light of Wisdom, and then we have concluded in the previous topic how to gain wisdom, and the topic we are currently studying and little bit covered in the previous class as well, the topic aggressive and passive. The two classes of people in the world. All over the world, there are only two classes of people. One class of people are aggressive. It is not the word to be misunderstood from the dictionary. It is only used in a special connotation in the context of Vedantic perspective. The people who are aggressive and people who are passive. There are two classes available in this world. Entire humanity, entire world of human beings come under these two categories. This categorization, this classification of aggressive and passive are divided the names given based on the use and non-use of the intellect. When a person uses the intellect in every walk of his life, every facet of his life, every transaction of his life, every moment, he is come under the category of aggressive. A person who doesn't use his intellect and goes by the whims and fancies of the mind, we call him passive. So passive means people who don't use their intellect and they go by the mind directly without consultation of the intellect. Such people are called passive. So in these two categories, further they have classified or they further divided into goodness and badness. Aggressive good, aggressive bad, passive good, passive bad. So totally with the entire humanity comes under four categories, including this further classification. The good and bad is divided again based on the mechanical, the use of the intellect and non-use of the intellect. So the aggressive good, aggressive bad, we are going to learn and understand today. So the nature of human beings falls under two broad classifications, the aggressive and the passive. As we already covered, the aggressive are those who use their intellect in all life's activities, and while the passive operate from the level of their mind. Again, each of these can be classified as good or bad. Thus, there are aggressive good, aggressive bad, and passive good, passive bad. Likewise, as the diagram is also given. So the term aggressive and passive are have a special connotation derived by the use and non-use of the intellect. So the mind and intellect are the two equipments which drive the human beings, the bodies to activity, propel the human activity. So human beings acting because of the propelling force of the mind and intellect. So actions, the body executes the activities, but the body cannot perform any action by itself. It is either the mind or the intellect. The actions proceed. So propelled by the mind, manasu, or the intellect, buddhi, or the combination of both mind and intellect. A person is considered passive when he acts from his mind without the guidance of the intellect. When a person is functioning from the level of the intellect, whereas he who uses the intellect and direct the mind and the body to any activity is classified as aggressive personality, aggressive category. So a passive person functioning from the mental level lives by the feelings and emotions rather than the reason and judgment, decision making, because he is not having or not using the intellect. He does not think, discriminate with his intellect. There is no consciously apply his choice based on his intellect. He goes by the feelings, nor he scrutinize or analyze his actions, much less question their merit or demerit. He lives a passive category person lives a life of a routine, mechanical pattern of life, following blindly the life of their family, predecessors, ancestors, blindly following the environment. So his life is molded by the environment, the situations, the circumstances, the people around, the individuality of such persons are molded by the external forces, external agencies. So instead of individuality shaping them, shaping the environment shapes them. Environment molds them. That is the nature of the passive people. By and large, he lives an unintelligent and a dogged life. Dogged life means a blind leading the blind, a sheep following the sheep. Means without questioning, following the herd instinct, we can say. So dog life he simply lives a life of passive acceptance of whatever he has gone before him, whatever is going on by tradition or by routine. He lacks the intellect or the initiative to use his human resources, human faculties, human thinking. He lacks that initiative or intellect to use the human resources to rise above the external influences and steer himself to a meaningful and purposeful life. Because of non-use of his intellect, he is just follows the others. There is no own thinking, own reasoning. Therefore, he doesn't use his full potential of human being, and he lives a mechanical acceptance of blind following the environment, society, politics, and all the other outside people, outside agencies mold his individuality. He has no individuality by himself. This is the passive category. Such passive people may lean towards good and bad. There are two categories in them. The passively bad person, how you define a passive bad person, is the vast majority of human beings come under this actually passive category, because hardly in this world, very rarely you can find a using of their own intellect and originally think of themselves, and they simply follow mechanical herd instinct. In this, there is a passive good as well as passive bad. So passive bad is the one who leads a wrongful, immoral, unethical, without really intending to be so. So he happens to be in the bad environment, bad situations, bad parentage, bad upbringing. He is not aware of what is his lifestyle. He is completely under the influence of the circumstances. So people take to drugs, people take to cheating or dacoiting, people take to all sorts of smuggling, all the things. They are not aware, they are victim of their, they happen to be in that immoral, unethical, wrongful lifestyle without having any planning and programming by themselves. The person does not willfully, guilefully plan or scheme activities to meet their private ends, private benefits, personal benefits. He does not mean to be bad. Who passive bad person? He does not intention. He does not have any idea. He simply follows a feeling or emotion, whims and fancies. So he does not mean to be bad. He continues to live a wrong way of life, usually inherited from his past. Could be, as we discussed, from the environment, from the situation, friends, upbringing, parents. His intellect does not consciously examine the nature of his activity. He is not having any thinking ability to question what is he doing. He is, suppose for example, father is a dacoit, grandfather is a dacoit, he will become a dacoit by just a herd instinct, following the family tradition, not even aware that he is a dacoit, and the dacoit means that smuggling and theft and all. So those kind of tendencies he picks up naturally. He thinks that that is all right. So it is not wrong. He doesn't have any idea whether it is right or wrong. He simply follows. Such people are called passive bad category. Passive bad. The passive means no intellect. Bad means the actions are happen to be in a wrong direction, immoral, unethical. So he is caught up, is such a person is caught up in a mode of living, in a pattern of lifestyle which happens to be bad, which he is not aware. That is passive bad. So it is with the passive good person. So passive good person, see passive bad, you can get the examples from the history. What is the history? Passive means that all these people you see, the bad people who are Kauravas in the Puranic story, in the Mahabharata, the Kauravas are the 100 brothers and all the people who are maybe in the Kaurava lot. They are all following mechanically routine to the boss of Duryodhana, who is actually different from all others. They are all just mechanically accepting and following the dictatorship of the boss. So the people, the soldiers, the people around in that Kaurava category, Kaurava side, all are passive bad, except the chief who is controlling, who is Duryodhana. Duryodhana doesn't come under passive bad. He is bad, but he is using his intellect, so he becomes aggressive bad. We are going to study. Now we are going to study the passive good persons. Who are the passive good people? So it is with the passive good people. They involved in a way of life which happens to be good. They are not consciously executing their good activities. They are not aware, but they happen to be in good environment, good society, good parents, good upbringing, good values, good, all are noble, moral, virtuous. These are all the background, their past. They happen to be in that environment, but they are not consciously using their intellect and understanding and planning and program to be good. They just happen to be in the environment. So moral without realizing it to be so. They have no intention to do good. They happen to be good. They are following a mechanical way of life of good impulses. Here is he merely leads his life based on good values, good impulses. He does not plan. Such a passive good person, he does not plan and execute a virtuous way of living because he is not aware, no intellect. His intellect has not gone through the process of analyzing and determining a right course of life. They are not planning and programming. So they don't, because they are not using intellect. That's why they are under the passive good. He carries, such a person carries an unmindful of the repercussions of such good actions also. But it is indiscriminate action because there is no application of intellect. Such indiscriminate action, however, may be good, whatever may be noble, may be great, may at times sometimes prove detrimental to himself and the society and the world at large. Sometimes you have to plan and program good actions by thinking, by application, but people follow mechanically. Even the good actions sometimes prove to be fatal, disaster, and does not help himself and the society also. That is called passive good people. Best example is the Pandavas. Pandavas happen to be good. They are in a good side, virtuous side, but they don't have thinking. They don't have intellect to analyze, determine their course of life and course of action. Therefore, they have been completely victimized by the Kauravas. So that is what happens. Even though you are doing good, if you are not having the intellect, at times it proves detrimental or disastrous. So you have to understand the passive good as well as passive bad, both are under the influence of the mind and mechanically routine pattern of living without their conscious awareness. There is no intention, there is no awareness. They just follow the sheep, following sheep, blindly following their impulses, feelings, emotions. Now come to the next category of the aggressive nature. The aggressive nature is opposite to the passive. Aggressive is, as we defined, an aggressively bad person, aggressively good person. Aggressively bad person is one who viciously plans and schemes, manipulates and maneuvers immoral, corrupt ways of life for pursuing his selfish, personal, private desires fulfillment. He will be executing his actions with all the planning, programming, scheming, analyzing, manipulating, everything they will do for their satisfying their personal interests. Such people are called aggressive bad. You can such people are typically, you can understand these people. For example, Duryodhana in Mahabharata and in Ramayana, Ravanasura. These are the two people you can find. They are extremely planners, great thinkers. They are highly planning and programming, scheming, manipulations. They did, and they controlled the passive good people as well as bad people. They controlled the whole world, whole society itself. That is their capability because of the virtue of their using of their intellect. When you use your intellect in a wrong and personal and selfish way for using for your personal ends at the cost of others' suffering, and you come under this aggressive bad. So aggressive bad are those who plans and programs. You see all the time, you can see in the society also such people. The so-called politicians are immoral, bad politicians are leaders of the society in various departments, in the lawyers, doctors, engineers, any walk of life who use their intellect, use their reason powers to manipulate, maneuver, and to plan and program and scheme and execute their actions to satisfy their personal ends, personal desires, selfish, private interests. Such people are come under aggressive bad. They observe no scruples. See, a doctor could be there. A doctor is highly qualified and he is very, very talented, very, very, great surgeon. He knows everything. But he plans and programs to make more money, and he tries to tell a lot of stories with using his intellect to satisfy his career, his growth, and of his hospital and his personal interests. He could use it. If he uses all the things for his private ends, such person come under aggressive bad, because he is not really doing justice or service by his planning, because he knows the knowledge, he knows the know-how, he knows the thinking power. He is using his intellect, but he is using for his selfish reason. Such a person is called aggressive bad. Aggressive bad means person who is using intellect for selfish ends, planning and program. Such people not only planning and programming, they are corrupt, they are immoral, unethical. They say even though you don't need, suppose such a doctor is there, they say that you need heart surgery, even though you don't need. They may say, they may convince, they may justify. You do not know You simply have to accept what they say, because you have no intellect to think whether it's right or wrong. You don't have knowledge, you don't have know-how. So you simply blindly follow and you get victimized. Similarly, a lawyer, when there is no litigation, he will create a litigation and he will argue to make his survival and to get his fees and everything for personal interests. So a lawyer, a doctor, or engineer. An engineer is also like that. They will talk to you about all the planning of building and infrastructure, how much cement, how much concrete required. You are not aware. They will make complete planning, programming to get maximum out of the owner who is investing and satisfy their personal needs. They could be. They use all their planning, programming, and corrupt ways, maneuvering, immoral ways. See, very, very interesting. Was the people who are not aware of all these things, they will be under great danger and the complete victimization if you don't use your intellect. You will be trapped. See, what happened to this so-called the molestations of these cases like Disha and all other things. The manipulating fellows, they go group together and passive good lady who is standing in the in the road, they manipulated, maneuvered, they used their intellect aggressively for satisfy their animal passions. They destroyed that lady. All these things will happen using their intellect. You have to use superior intellect to overtake their intellect, to get out of their manipulative, corrupt ways, for which you need to strengthen your intellect. So this is the suffering why the passive good people are victimized under the hands of the aggressive bad people. So even the Pandavas are controlled by Duryodhana till the Lord Krishna entered into the scene. That's what the problem happens into the individual. So these aggressive bad are very, very dangerous, and you have to be very, very careful in analyzing and understanding and applying your intellect to know what their way of living. They observe no scruples. For them, no custom, no tradition, no rules, no regulation. They break anything, they crack anything, they overtake anything, they manipulate anything. They put any condition, they break any condition. They don't have any scruples, any doubts. They break customs, traditions, rules, regulations, everything. And to satisfy their personal desires, their personal interests. That's what Duryodhana did. If you go back to Duryodhana, what is that Duryodhana did? The Duryodhana said to there was a rules that the Karna supposed to be not allowed to fight because he is not a Kshatriya. Then he gave the solid reason and justified in front of everybody, and there is suddenly made that Karna a part of a king, gave him a kingdom and made him a small king, and then made him to fight against the Pandavas. So they break every rule, every custom, every tradition, every possibility, and to make their private needs fulfilled. The aggressive constantly employ. See, they break the custom, tradition, rules. See, suppose such a fellow wants to marry aggressive, bad fellow want to marry a girl. The priest will come and arrangement has done, and the priest is chanting so much, so ritual. Some puja should be done. It will be taking 1 hour or 2 hours to do that Satyanarayana Swami Vratam and all. What this fellow will do, I have no time. He will call the priest who is doing all this ritual. He will warn him. Say, I don't care. You have to finish this puja within 10 minutes. Whatever you do, I don't mind. So he can change the tradition. He can change the custom. He can change the rules, regulations for satisfying his selfish personal aggrandizement. He wants to get his desire fulfilled. at the cost of anything. Anything can happen to anybody. They don't care. Such is the aggressive, bad persons. Very, very dangerous people these people are. The aggressive constantly employ their intellect in programming their life. They sit down, they're planning, programming. You see, another incident happened. There are 25 fellows sat down and planned for that honor killing or murder in recent times. So they're aggressive, bad, they're planning, programming, manipulating to kill the innocent people. So these, who are the people victim? The passive good people. The passive good as well as passive bad as well. Both will be victim of such intellectual understanding. There is no intellect at all. Such people, these people use their intellect for their selfish tendencies. Whereas the passive never do so. Passive people cannot plan and cannot program. So they get just victimized like a goat. The goat and the goat in charge, the sheep and shepherd. The shepherd takes the sheep and the sheep is innocent. It simply goes to the slaughterhouse and gets killed. Similarly, these people who are having no intellect, the passive people, they can't think, so they are victim of this aggressive bad people. Consequently, the aggressive are more powerful over the passive. The aggressive bad dominate over the passive good and bad. They dominate, they tell this is what we want, you must follow. So they control the whole group for their private needs. So, and freely exploit them to serve their personal interests. See, these villages, they cultivate the produce, the crops, they earn so much and try to, they can do marketing, everything. But these brokers or these private parties, they go to their source and they get everything, they talk to them, they plan and program and they get with the cheaper rate from the tribal, from the hills, the so-called farmers who produce them. They take everything and they come to the market, in the middle of the market in the cities. And then they make 3-4 times the rates and they make maximum out of those farmers, and they make their profits. These are all the manipulative people. They are the middlemen. They are the people who use their intellect in business world, in business, in profession, in law, in medicine. In every field you can find these aggressive bad people who always plan, program, manipulate, corrupt ways, breaks the rules and regulations, constantly try to dominate the weak people who don't have intellect, and then they exploit their weakness and they make maximum out of them, and they make the innocent people, passive people suffer. So they freely exploit, they're full of exploitation, and exploit them to serve their private personal interests. This is the sad state of humanity. For the time immemorial, the passive good people and passive bad people are victimized under the aggressive bad persons. This is the sad thing how going on. The fourth cadre is the aggressive good person. So the aggressive good person is the one who is quite opposite to the aggressive bad. He same nature of intellect, but he uses for the welfare of the universe. That is Lord Krishna enters here only, the nature of Lord Krishna. He also uses his intellect. Rare indeed such a category, such a person in this world. Very, very rare. The aggressive good is inherently virtuous. They are full of goodness, full of love, full of selflessness, full of sacrificial nature within them. They don't have a negative, selfish, personal interest fulfillment. They are, whatever their personal being is to the welfare of the world. Such people are aggressive good, inherently virtuous, and they are filled with divinity, filled with godliness, filled with pure, filled with unselfishness, thinking about the welfare of the good of others. Such people are aggressive good. They use the intellect. Such people, aggressive good person, he uses the intellect constantly, continuously. He plans, he programs, he carefully monitors, determines his course of action for the benefit of the everyone. He doesn't enter into corrupt, immoral, unethical ways. He always virtuous, moral, and unselfish, service, sacrifice, and to the benefit of one and all. He plans and programs. He never functions impulsively, indiscriminately, emotionally. By the whims and fancies, he will never function. He always consults his intellect to be able to guide his mind and body to purposeful, meaningful, beneficial to the world at large. They call it Loka Sangraha, Loka Kalyan. That's what they use the word. Such people are very, very rare indeed in this world. He uses the reason and judgment. He uses the analysis. He uses the thinking all the time in every walk of life. He steers the clearly his activity directed to the well-being of the community. He studies the facts. How does he come to any conclusion is, he first studies the facts and come to the proper analysis of the consequences of whatever his data is provided. So he plans and programs his activities based on the consequence of merits and demerits. He works towards the best interest of the people around him. He wants to genuinely serve, help for the upliftment of the world he identifies. A single aggressively good person is one person is enough to bring about the greatest peace, greatest harmony, greatest happiness to the entire community, entire world. One Krishna, one Buddha, one Rama is enough to change the planet itself. So that is the nature of the aggressive goodness. Aggressive goodness. Aggressive means using the intellect. Goodness means they are filled with a purposeful, meaningful, divine cause for the benefit of the whole world. That is the nature of the aggressive good. So, aggressive bad, aggressive good, and passive bad, passive good. These are the four categories we have to thoroughly analyze and understand. And we as a human beings gradually step up from the passive bad to passive good to aggressive good. Our mission in life is to aggressive good, not aggressive bad or passive bad. That is the mission of every human being. Human being has to be developed. If not, he will be victimized by the passive and passive bad as well as the aggressive bad elements all over the world will be controlling you all the time, and you are already victim today because of aggressive bad people. Who are the aggressive bad? The so-called politicians today who are only running the politics for their personal interests. Who is like Ramarajya, Ayodhya. Where is Ayodhya? Where is Ramarajya? So everybody is looking for their personal interests, generally speaking. We are not here criticizing others. We are not here to condemn others. We are trying to learn and grow the qualities of the divinity of aggressive goodness. That's all our point of understanding and studying the purpose. So you should not be victim, you should not be slave to the aggressive bad elements in the society. If you develop aggressive goodness, you will become the king of this universe. You will become Swayam, Lord Krishna's identity, the nature of Krishna. You will be able to practice and you will be able to get the best results of your lifestyle. So the proportion of this passive far exceeds the aggressive everywhere. So if you analyze the whole world, vast majority, if not all, come under masses. Masses means they are passive, non-using of the intellect. They are only herd instinct. Follow the blind, following the blind. They caught up in rituals, ceremonies, mechanical, routine, monotonous existence of blind following of herd instinct. A sheep following sheep. This is the vast majority of the sad plight of the humanity. That is what he is telling. Vast majority, proportion in the world are passive or the aggressive everywhere. The reason being that human beings hardly use their intellect. Because using your intellect, you need to put effort. You need to consciously think, question, reason, analyze. For every turn, who am I? Why I have to be like this? What is that we can do? Every bit you must penetrate with your intellect and question. But hardly the human beings use their intellect today. Therefore, there is no question. There is a passive acceptance of their lifestyle and live a dogged life of bird instinct. They live at the level of their mind. They follow the mind and its emotions. Feelings control today. Emotions control today. Likes and dislikes controlling human beings today. There is no independent thinking. There is no original thinking. There is no thinking at all when the intellect is absent. Therefore, they suffer the consequences of such a lifestyle. They are already suffering. Whatever suffering you are having because of this passivity of non-use of your intellect. They don't care. They do not care to exert. Such passive people, they don't care to exert, put effort, strive for bettering themselves. How are you? I am fine. I am well settled. I have everything. I don't need to think. I have all the things I enjoy. So they stopped thinking. There is a intellectual stagnation, completely current state of affairs. So the passive are rising in numbers. There are more and more passive people are increasing and increasing in the world. Among the aggressive, there are few minority who are very, very less in number. Those who are aggressive, they are in that the good people are far less. The very less are the good people. The people who are in good category, they are very few and very rare. So the aggressive bad exploit the weakness of the passive good and bad, which we already touched upon. So the passive become victims of vicious practices of the aggressive bad, which is what the Duryodhana controlled the entire good people of the Pandavas and bad people of the Kauravas. In that Kauravas there are little bit good people also like Bhishma and Drona and all others, Karna and all. They are also controlled by the Duryodhana by his aggressive badness, using his intellect for his private ends. This explains why honest people, sincere people, innocent people, good people suffer with while the dishonest people prosper in this world. Why people are asking, why good people suffer, honest people suffer? The people who are genuinely doing service, genuinely doing divine activities, service activities, meaning to be good, helping to be good, and genuinely doing whatever they want to do. But why they suffer? They suffer because of the elements of the aggressive bad people. Such people are the cause for their dishonest people prosper, honest people suffer, because the dishonest people means the aggressive people are in bad lot, but they use their intellect. They use their reason, they use their planning, programming, manipulating, thinking, reasoning. Such people, their controlling the honest people, and they are dishonest anyway, so they are prospering. It is the intellect scoring over the mind. So intellect is scoring, intellect is dominating over the mind, a law of human nature. So higher equipment, higher powerful always dominates and succeeds. That is the law of the human nature. The passive do not realize their weakness. So the passive people, do not understand, do not realize that their weakness is not using their intellect, not developing their intellect. Therefore, they are suffering. They don't know. They are innocent. They are weak. And that weakness has been scored by the aggressive fellows. All the people, all the suffering, anybody who is suffering, this is the root cause. The intellect is used by the dishonest, manipulative, aggressive, bad fellows controlling the passive good people. That's what everywhere there is murders, there is molestations, there is all sorts of atrocities or crimes are done to the innocent people. Why? Because the people who don't use their intellect, they don't care to develop their intellect. Being born as a human being, it is your fundamental obligatory duty and responsibility to use and develop and strengthen and make the strong intellect in life. If not, you are ceased to be a human being. Unfortunately, no school, no government, no parent, no society, nowhere in the world, intellect development has been trained, development has been programmed, and intellect is being developed. Therefore, everybody is living without the intellect and then suffer the consequences thereof. And they are paying huge price and taking the lives of the human beings today, and hardly anybody realizing this sad plight of this condition of humanity. And people who sees this, who knows this, who understands this, they sympathize, they pity, they are very sorry about that, and they can't do anything because intellect has to be developed by your own. You have to develop your intellect by yourself. You should be aware of it. You should be conscious of it. Then only you can be able to develop your intellect. Today, there is no intellect at all. There is no use of the intellect at all. How to develop the intellect? Simple. You must question everything. Never take anything for granted. And question everything. This is the only way you can strengthen and develop intellect. All the time you have to use the intellect. So, it is the intellect scoring over the mind, the law of human nature. The passive do not realize their weakness, make no attempt to strengthen their intellect. Today, no attempt, no awareness, no attempt to strengthen their intellect. They choose to remain in their mental and emotional frame. They all the time living in the emotional level, mental level. Therefore, they get overtaken, overpowered. These people get overpowered by those who operate from the level of the intellect. Who operates at the level of the intellect, they're scoring over these people, and these people are becoming victims. And these people complain, grumble, they suffer and grumble, they constantly complain and grumble. You open the TV, the only thing you listen is complaints and grumbling. The government is bad, people are bad, everybody is bad, This is the weakness. There is nothing wrong with the world. There is nothing problem with the world, problem with the people. Problem is with you. You have to develop your intellect at the bayonet's point, and you have neglected. Therefore, you have to face the consequences. It is just directly proportional to development of your intellect. No other thing can save you. This is what the Lord Krishna explained in Bhagavad Gita and Vedanta, or the whole scriptures are telling the same thing. Here is the analysis until they strengthen themselves. They may need to seek intellectual guidance. If you don't have intellect, if you don't have strong intellect, you must learn to surrender to the higher intellects and gain the guidance, support, and then from others, whoever you think they have a better intellect than you, surrender to them and get the guidance. Then you will be safe. You will be free from the sufferings of the consequence of the aggressive bad people. So, thus must the passive turn into aggressive good. So, once you either gain the guidance or you follow that, you will get the aggressive goodness to be able to confront and conquer the aggressive bad elements in the society. Such people get the strength of the intellect so that they will be able to face the challenges of the aggressive bad elements in the society. You get the enough strength, enough power to face them and conquer them and get, you overtake their planning. That's what happened. Lord Krishna entered the scene and he helped the entire Pandavas. The treacherous manipulations of the Kaurava army were overtaken, completely nullified by the Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna understood and explained to the Pandavas, saying that how the Duryodhana is planning, programming, maneuvering corrupt ways. So because Krishna using his intellect and his intellect with goodness, therefore aggressive good he is known for. So you have to develop aggressive goodness in you to face any challenge and to overtake any problem in the life. There is no other shortcut. You can't be passive and you cannot solve the problems and you will simply live complaining and grumbling. Nobody will help you. Nobody can solve your problems. You have to solve your problems by yourself. You are the architect of your fortune. You are the architect of your misfortune. You make yourself, you mar yourself. You are the architect. You are the creator of your own future. Everything is in your hands about your life. Nobody can develop yourself except Uddhared Atman Atman. You have to develop yourself by yourself only. This is a law. So you can't change it, I can't change it. It is a formula by itself by the science of spiritual knowledge. So you must, by Baynett's point, use the intellect and develop the intellect and strengthen the intellect so that you can confront, you can face and conquer these aggressive bad elements in the society. Aggressive bad elements around you all the time. You have to face them, you have to overtake them by your own strong intellect. There is no other way to it. There is nothing more than this. So the epic Mahabharata presents here we already covered a picture of passive and aggressive natures of human beings. Already we covered the royal cousins of Pandavas and Kauravas in the epic represents the two categories of passive and passive. The Pandavas princes were distinct in their passive goodness and Kauravas in their aggressive badness. And consequently, the Pandavas suffered untold humiliation. Pandavas suffered untold humiliation under the hands of Duryodhana, Kaurava prince. He was a clear specimen of aggressive badness. He schemed and planned and maneuvered in corrupt ways to destroy the passively good cousins. So he always wanted to kill the Pandavas. This is what the Duryodhana always. But luckily what the Pandavas did, they surrendered to Lord Krishna. The Lord Krishna represents aggressive goodness. So the Pandavas sought the guidance of Lord Krishna. Today, where is the guidance? Where is the surrender? Where is the taking the shelter of any higher intellect? Everybody believes they know everything. and they are destroyed by themselves, and they are not aware, they are not woken up. They think they can take care of themselves. The fat ego, I know, I can take care of myself. This is the killer. There is the person who the humanity is suffering today because of two problems. One is I know, second one is I am right. These are the two distracting factors entered into the system. There is no growth, there is no savior, there is no redemption for you because of these two. The moment you stop and examining, I may not know and I have to seek guidance. So I may not be right. The suspicion, the very small elbow room, and try to be open minded, try to be conscious of your possibilities of ignorance and try to open your shutters and try to learn, try to receive, there is a chance of development of your intellect, or else the intellect is never, it stops and then you destroy yourself. So Pandavas luckily took the guidance of Lord Krishna, and Krishna is a personification and embodiment of aggressive goodness. He is always acts and plans and programs the best interest of the dharma, establishment of righteousness and welfare of the people and their happiness of the people. He employed his intellect. If you study the Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita, all the time there are plans and programs and schemes, and how Lord Krishna breaks each and every plan of the Duryodhana. Therefore, Duryodhana is never scared of anybody except Lord Krishna. He is a worst enemy is Lord Krishna because his intellectual plans are destroyed by Lord Krishna. Therefore, he never was happy. He employed intellect. The Lord Krishna employed intellect effectively to destroy the vicious plans, bad plans of Duryodhana and the rest of the people. The aggressive good prevailed, overtaken, the conquer the aggressive bad, and Lord Krishna relieved the sufferings of the Pandavas. So ultimately, Pandavas are rescued and saved by the by the hands of Lord Krishna, Swayam Narayana. This is the story given to us to scientifically understand. You can't go to Lord Krishna anywhere to surrender and get the guidance. The Lord Krishna is your intellect, and you strengthen the intellect by yourself by studying the scripture. Here, the knowledge, the know-how, the technique to use the intellect, to develop the intellect has been provided. If you develop this intellect, you yourself function in lines like Lord Krishna himself and solve your problems and your sufferings. You will be free, you will be relieved, and you establish in you the happiness, the righteousness, the divine qualities in you. You become aggressive good, and you lift yourself to the divinity, and you help everybody to be divine and help the passive people turn to be good and aggressive as well. This is the greatest topic. You must think and understand. Then you will be able to become a strong personality and never waver by the whims and fancies of the mind, and able to execute your actions such meaningful, purposeful. Ultimately, you lead the realization, lead the life towards the ultimate goal of enlightenment also. Use the intellect, develop the intellect. Ultimately, the intellect takes care of your life till you reach the self-realization or God realization. We will conclude this topic and we'll get on to the next topic, joy of learning, how to learn and practice and develop this intellect. In the next class, we will be going to cover this topic. Thank you very much. Hari Om.